at this meeting of the Mercer County Board of Education. Mr. Brewer, if you'll have a roll call, please.
Good evening. District 1, Amber Franceschi.
Here.
District 2, Amy Hart is trying to get on line here. District 3, Bill Montgomery. Here. District 4, Cliff Pruitt. Here. District 5, Randy Clark.
Here. May I please have a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
Make it.
Mr. Montgomery makes a motion. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Pruitt, second. All in favor? Okay, as of this evening, we have no one signed up for public participation. So, with that being said, we will move on to our reports, and first up will be our finance officer. Will Amos.
Okay. As of the end of June 2024, our general fund cash balance was up 22.8% compared to the prior year, ending at $8.47 million. Of course, the auditors are going to be here some this week, so we're starting to work on the financial audit for last fiscal year. We still have some revenue coming in, we still have some expenses that are going out that really were last fiscal year expenses and revenue, so that will adjust accordingly. Our general fund revenue, including the beginning balance, was a 3% increase compared to the prior year at $28.4 million. The general fund receipts, excluding that beginning balance, were basically exactly the same at $22.1 million. Expenses was a 30% decrease compared to the prior year at $20.8 million. And our ending balance is a 21% increase at $7.7 million. So the district overall, as of the end of June, like I said, we still have some open-ended items that are happening right now, but we received 102.6% of the revenue that we budgeted, and on the expense side, we expended 86.7% of the expenses that we budgeted. And the expenses in the month of June were $3.2 million, which is always our highest month as far as expenses go, typically because of all the summer payrolls. So at the end of July, you're going to see a much lower expense because, of course, we don't start our payroll for every employee until August. Are there any questions?
Looks really good.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Human Resources Report is up next.
Good evening. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to all our board members and to Mr. Boomer for investing in all our employees. We could not do what we do without your support. We are opening up the new school year, and it seems like a good time to give you all an update on HR. So in last year, 23-24, our department made building employee engagement part of our priority goal. One of the reasons we made employee engagement part of our goal was because there is such a correlation between employee retention and employee engagement. As you know, employee retention allows consistency of education and is an effective and appropriate use of school funds, and a low turnover rate positively contributes to school culture. Over the past 2 or 3 years, the HR department has made numerous steps in learning more about engagement. We have all attended numerous HR conferences. We've attended focus groups. We're part of organizations that work on building retention. And I kept hearing over and over again that engagement was the biggest part of retention. Of course, pay is a large part and leadership as well. But for the HR piece, engagement was the most effective area for us to touch. Excuse me. So we have not done this by ourselves. King Middle School has contributed, the high school, the day treatment, central office, food service, MCIS, and the elementary. They have all done many things to contribute to engagement. They have potlucks, they give prizes to their staff, they do all kinds of things to increase engagement. One of the things that is very important to our staff members that we learned from surveys was that they want to feel like they are part of a family. And having those potlucks, people don't realize that that's really what we're doing. We're taking time out to make it part of a family. We're not in the big city and a bunch of numbers. It's a family organization. So outside of our school leaders and of course, the strategic compensation that you all have passed and made over the past 3 years. We have worked on building the goal of building employee retention through engagement. So if you look at your update there, the attachment, you can see this is just a list of some of the things that we have done. I won't talk about all of them, but the state interviews, that's something that a lot of people don't realize is very important. And we started doing that a couple years back. And that is basically, if you take an exit survey, that employee's gone. You can't really do much for them. But if you do a stay survey with employees that are here and have been here for the past 7 years, you can find out what keeps them here. And then you can build on that. And that was one of the things that we learned, that relationships was what keeps our employees here. So the engagement and trust survey I created, I'll talk about that in a minute, and then you can see some of the other things. If I skip down to the newsletter named The Connector, that is one of the things that we learned to do through our stay surveys. Employees said that they really wanted to feel connected to central office, and so we named it The Connector and tried to give them information that they can hold on to. They also mentioned that they wanted to receive less emails. They had a hard time differentiating between all of the floods of emails, so they wanted a hard copy. So that's what we went to with The Connector. We do that 3 times, 4 times a year. Most of the information in there doesn't change, so they can hold on to it, put it on their desk or bulletin board, and that was something that we implemented due to those surveys. So if we look at back to engagement and trust surveys, I just want to dive into that a little bit. The first thing we had to do was to increase our engagement. We had to measure our engagement. We don't know where we're at until we measure that. So we measured it, we evaluated the data, we shared the data with the superintendent, the chief academic officer, and any other stakeholders that were involved. And then now we're working on making improvements. We have made some improvements, but we are going to continue into 24, 25, focusing on making those improvements. So in measuring the data, I sent out a survey to gain the knowledge. It was a 7-statement survey, and it was on a Likert scale, and they had to measure how they felt with each statement. And we learned that 235 respondents addressed the survey within the first wave, and we did 2 other waves, and we increased our numbers by 10%, which means that we held on to all of our participants, and then we gained about 10% more. So that alone shows that we've increased engagement. The second was we evaluated the data, we reviewed the data, and also increases in respondents. We added on the third survey, we added another question to gain the knowledge if they were repeats or if they were another 235 people. We learned that 10% was growth, so that was helpful. So some of the other things that we did was we started doing a more employee-centered onboarding. This year we were able to do onboarding at a very small scale. We had 36, well we haven't even completed 36 hires, but we had 26 hires this year compared to last year at 115. It was huge. So we were able to give everybody a little more attention and have a small scale. Each of the employees came in, they met the superintendent, it was like 4 to 1, and had conversations with them. They met the chief financial officer, they met all the HR team. So I think it's really going to go far to keep these people and make them feel like they know somebody here and that if they need something, they can count on us. So that's one of the things that we did. It just wouldn't have been possible with 115 people. The year before that, we had 90 new employees. So once we onboard them, the next step is to keep them engaged and earn or keep their trust. And the recent trust survey is the benchmark for where we're going to go for next year. So just to wrap up, I wanted to share those numbers that you see up there. On the left, you see the school year. And on the right, you see the employee retention rate. So you can see it was 78% in 22 and 23, and then basically the same thing in 23 and 24, and it has jumped to 93% retention rate, which is outstanding. I mean, Gallup surveys say that if you can keep at a 10% retention or turnover rate, that you are very healthy. That puts us at 7%, so we are better than healthy. So I'm very proud of the staff and the departments, and I thank the board and the superintendent for allowing us to support our staff in this way. And I thank you. This year, we're going to look forward to more growth, more engagement, and more relationship building. Thank you. Anybody have questions?
No, I'm appreciative of the fact that you're taking the opportunity to come up with this plan. I think you made a good point. Many times we're focused on exit interviews, but not the people who are staying around. Why did you stay? What led you to make a decision? So I think that the smaller onboarding, where you have that personal touch, goes a long way, especially with your new hires, and they feel like, hey, I'm just a number. And obviously you can do that, but we don't have to recruit anybody because everyone's staying. So it's a very good position to be in. Good work.
Thank you.
So for the 93%, does that include retirees?
Yeah.
So if you take them out, then it's even higher. The retention.
Yeah, if you check them out, it would be higher. I can get you that number if you'd like.
You should do that. So like the.
And that actually includes certified staff, classified staff, subs, and athletics. So we could spin it a lot of different ways and have fun with this spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay, we've got our personnel report. I think everybody's had an opportunity to look at that prior to tonight's meeting. And so we will move on to our superintendent's report, Mr. Brewer.
Great report, Ms. Joyce. She talked about the surveys. We use that data that we collect off that surveys to drive discussions, not only in our administrative meetings, but also like the superintendent advisory council. She does that 3 times a year. That drives a lot of our discussion and changes based upon what that data shows and what those discussions that take place in those surveys. So I appreciate her doing that each and every 3 times a year for the ones that are currently here as employees. And then also, again, I'll echo what she says. It goes a long way when you all do the salary schedule that you have the last 3 years and show that, it's 93%. That's a great feat. You pay your employees well, and you have a great culture, and that's a great mix. And that's what you try to get to, is have a great culture, a great pay scale, and that's how you're able to retain people. So again, thank you for that report, and thank you, board, for continuing to support our public educators. Academics, I got great news for our school district. The advanced placement, the AP test scores that were taken in the first week or 2 of May came in, and we had a 69% increase in the number of students passing the AP test this year. We had last year we had 35 tests that were passed. This year we had 59, so almost double. So again, that's great news for our high school, our students at Marshall County, to show that we continue great strides in our academics here at Marshall County. And again, we had 59 passing scores this past May on our AP test. In the consent items, you'll see my professional growth plan, PGP. I do that every July. This year, I'm going to focus on Standard 2, instructional leadership. I know we've talked a lot about the writing plan that we've taken the whole school year last year in developing, and now we're going to implement it starting with the work day in May and first couple days before school starts this year, and then the day before election in November. So we'll have some work days that we work on that. But again, implementing the writing plan across all grade levels will be the focus for my PGP this year. And this writing plan implementation will have a lasting impact on all students in Marshall County K-12. So we're excited about that. In the summertime, of course, the kids are out, but there's a whole bunch of work that goes on in the summertime. It seems like you put in longer hours in the summertime than you do during the school year. And a lot of that has to do with facilities and planning ahead for the next year. The KMS bathroom renovation update, it is ahead of schedule, which that's one thing we were concerned about going into such a big project for the summer and being able to open school up on time because you have to have bathrooms, obviously. But I went all 5 of them today, and then we had a construction meeting afterwards, and they look really, really good. So the bathroom is supposed to be completed next Friday, all 5 bathrooms. Those will be bathrooms that the middle school students will really, really enjoy. New elementary school update. They've been doing a lot of blasting, and the great thing is that's the only reason great about not having any rain the last month or two is that they've been able to go full bore ahead. And Mr. Milam, did you want to state anything else on the new elementary school update at all? Okay.
Yes, as Mr. Gore said, that we've been able to continue with the on-site construction and the blasting. The weather has been very, very forgiving with us to give us these dry days. I know it's hot and dry. Most of your yards are probably trying to turn around, but we're loving this. We probably are about 4 to 6 weeks away from being completed with the blasting. The mass earth field has already started. We've installed about a third of that, which is in the C area, which is what encompasses your administrative area, cafeteria, and your gymnasium. There's design settlement monitors that go in there. There's 3 that go in at 30% fill, and then 3 that go in at 100%. And I'm proud to state that they installed the 3 and the 30% fill yesterday. So we're 30% there on the field. So we're still on schedule. Everything's looking good. The weather has just been great. It's been extremely dry. That's beneficial for us. We're going to continue with blasting. In the next 30 days, you'll see us finish that field, start filling in the soil cushion that's required in the A and B section, which is your first grade and second grade, and you'll see us start filling in your E and D section, which is your storm shelter, and or maybe back one first, but the pre-K. Yeah, everything's going good. The blasting is continuing daily. They're doing daily blast, and there's been no complications. That's the best of it. Any questions? Come by and visit anytime you want. Joey's on vacation. Caleb's there every day with Joey, so he's got the helm this week, but everything's going smooth. Anytime you want to come by, please come by and visit and take a look at us moving dirt around.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I will say it's fun to watch them out there every now and then. With blastings, if you can get out there for one of the blastings one day,
I know you all approved a repaving project for the high school. Of course, the parking lot was in bad shape. If you driven by there today, they got the left side. If you're looking at the school, the left lawn, the one that goes into the softball, baseball, they've got all that milled up and repaved today. Looks really, really good. They've started on the ceiling on all the parking lots in the district. So we'll get that shored up here in the next week or two. I want to thank our city for painting the Mercer County Titans logo on the water tower. If anybody's not driven by there yet, you need to do that. I don't know how many people that I've already just talked about, the school or whatever, and they said that water tower, I mean, it just makes, gives me chills, or it makes it a sense of pride, just driving by there, seeing that. So I do want to thank the city, because I think that just really puts a staple on the, Moberly Road and just our school district, and look really good. So again, thank you to our city. We do our annual administrator retreat coming up this coming Monday, and you all got a book in front of you, John Maxwell's The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And there's 21 chapters in there. Of course, they talk about one law of leadership in each one. We're going to do the first 14, and then the other 7 we'll do throughout the year in operation meetings, book study. But if anybody asks me if there's, and this is the commercial for John Maxwell, but if anybody, this book, but if anybody ever asks me, what's the best leadership book that you've ever read, it's this one. And those 21 laws hit it perfect. And I'm really excited about our whole admin team in the district being able to go through that this year and study what those 21 laws that he talks about. So you've got a copy there in front of you. And then athletics, of course, we've got through the dead period. All the fall sports practices are starting. And they've got a lot of hot weather right now, so the outside ones are going early or late. And to get through this hot season. But again, fall sports, we're looking forward to some great seasons coming up this coming fall. And that's all I've got.
Thank you very much. Up next are consent agenda items. Everyone should have had a chance to look at those. All the items in there, obviously, is the professional growth plan, which you've already discussed a little, surplus property equipment, invoices. Does anyone have anything they'd like to discuss or any questions about any items there? Okay, if no questions, can I please have a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Franceschi makes the motion, can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Montgomery, second, all in favor? Okay, up next are our action items for discussion. First of all, we do have a board policies and procedure update, a second reading, and we'll vote on this as well this evening. Mr. Booker.
Yes, we had an opportunity last month to look at all of those, and of course, you've had a month to look at the changes. A lot of them are updates, just a couple of wording changes or whatever, and then there's a few new policies. One of which is, let me go back, 09.2242. All school districts around the state, it's a new law this coming year. Each school board has to adopt this new policy and state whether they want to allow the use of medical marijuana or medicinal cannabis on school property or prohibit it. So we put that line item underneath there. So as part of this update, the motion needs to be whether, if we're going to make a motion to approve all these new updates and new policies, for this specific one, do we want to prohibit or permit that on the use on the school property? My recommendation, much like many other school districts around the state, I only know of one school district in the state that's approved and allowed that. But my recommendation is to prohibit the use of medical marijuana on school property. But again, this is the second reading, so we'll require a vote.
Does anyone have any questions or discussions about this?
Or on any of the policies.
Yeah. Not just one. Okay, we got several.
Or do one motion on all of them?
Well, yes, we can, but if we do one motion on all of them, we just need to state whether in 09.2242, does that motion include prohibit or permit the use?
So, can I ask this question about that? So, is this something, I guess my question comes into whether or not a student can come in with a doctor's note, and how we can differentiate between the two from a legal standpoint. Are we, Esther, is that?
I'm sorry, stepped out, so I missed the question. What was the?
So on the 09.2242, if a student comes in with a doctor's note, medical cannabis, if the student comes in with a doctor's note for that, are we legally able to differentiate between that medication and other medications?
I assume based on the law we are.
Yes, and that's a specific one, that medicinal cannabis, that they call it. But it'd be if they have a prescription, we can still prohibit it by law on school property. And that's what we're choosing between, is whether we permit it or prohibit it. I do know the General Assembly did say for any school district that does allow it, then any staff member, including the school nurses, which usually administer all other prescriptions, has a right to say that they do not want to, they don't believe in it, and they don't want to allow that to happen. So then the parent, in that instance, would have to come back and administer that.
I would be most comfortable with the prohibiting, but I just wanted to make sure that there was no like kind of legal snafu that we should think about.
The General Assembly set that up so there isn't, and as a former assistant principal and disciplinarian, that it would be really hard to, with the day, it's not just, like marijuana joints anymore that you deal with. You're dealing with gummies, and these vape pens. Most, I'd say over 50% of the vape pens have THC in them now that are confiscated. So it's already a very difficult task as a disciplinarian to deal with what we have to deal with these stores around the state of Kentucky selling these different types of items with gummies or the vapes and so forth. I can only imagine now some people could pull out a prescription and say, "Oh, I've got permission to do this." We're here to educate students, give them a great education. I just think when kids or if anybody's on something, then it's hard to focus more than it would be if you're in your mind with that in your system.
So I'll make a motion to accept all of the updated policies with the prohibited use of medical cannabis.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor to approve the policy and procedure updates. However, we will prohibit 092242, the use of medical cannabis. That motion has been made by Mr. Pruitt. Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Montgomery, second. All in favor? Next. Hey, Amy.
Hey!
We heard you. Up next will be our master schedule, the second reading and vote. Those were presented to us last week. Do you have anything else to add to that, Esther?
Those times are now corrected, so
Yes, times are updated, and that's the only change from the last time.
Does anybody have any questions? And if not, can I have a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion.
Mrs. Franceschi makes a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Montgomery, second. All in favor?
Yes.
Districts and school plans, the second reading and vote. And Esther, I know you've sent all these to us. When it comes to emergencies, trauma plans, code of conduct. Is there anything else you need to add?
No, not that y'all have any questions at this time.
If no questions, can I have a motion for approval?
Make a motion.
Mr. Montgomery makes a motion. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Hart seconds. All in favor? The code of conduct, second reading and vote. I know you sent this to us as well, Esther. Nothing.
That was
We've seen
changed
it.
since the first time. Unless y'all have any questions for me, like,
Any questions? If not, can I have a motion for approval?
I make a motion.
Mr. Pruitt makes a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Montgomery, second. All in favor?
Listen to Frank.
Up next, job descriptions. Amber, I don't know if you have anything.
I don't have everything to say on it. There are two positions on there. One is just an update to a job description and one is a new job description.
Everybody's had a chance to look at that ahead of time. Does anybody have any questions for Amber on job descriptions?
Only question I have is on that, one for secretary for superintendent receptionist. Seems like a pretty good job description on that. I just wondered.
So it's a morphing of two different job descriptions that the state had, just trying to kind of cover all bases. So years ago, we actually had this specific position. Over time, we have, moved lots of different positions, whether they be clerical or administrative in the central office and district levels. So this is just putting one back on the salary schedule in case it's needed moving forward.
I remember us having it all together there one time. It was a-
Yeah, and it's been named different things over time. It's just to try to, it's hard because we have a lot of different clerical positions in the district, period. And we're trying to also do some differentiation so people understand which ones fall under which job class code. Because a lot of them will say administrative assistant 1, administrative assistant 2, assistant to whoever, or secretary. And so a lot of people are getting confused on what positions fell under which. So we're trying to make them a little bit clearer as well.
If no further discussion, can I have a motion for approval?
Make it motion.
Mr. Montgomery makes a motion, may I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Pruitt, second. All in favor? Okay, we have 3 action items for roll call vote. Salary schedule update from Tom.
So I put bullet points as to what all of the changes are. Some of these are very minor changes. It is how, at the beginning of each school year, as we publish that salary schedule, then I get calls from, the athletic director, principals, and they're like, wait a minute, this was supposed to look like this. So some of this is that. Some of it is stuff that, like we have a position that should have stayed on through at least August on the salary schedule that I accidentally deleted off of there, just not thinking that way. We've also moved some of the positions on levels that no one is currently in those positions, but trying to get them more in line if we were to fill those positions. Putting some ranges of hours on positions just because we do have staff that are in a range of hours in those positions now, not just a set amount. We do have the district communications and social media stipend that has been added on there, and that was just something that we discussed. We have revamped the way that looks going into this year, and at the time that you all approved the salary schedule last, we just didn't really know exactly what that was going to look like moving forward until this board meeting. Like I said, the athletic ones were just miscommunication between myself and the athletic director, but I think that we've got those worked out now. And then we also have an addition of assistant band director at the very bottom there. We did have our assistant band director has left the district now, and so we're going to have an option of having basically like a paraprofessional assistant band coach, just like an assistant coach would be.
Any questions? If not, can I please have a motion for approval?
Make a motion to approve.
Mr. Montgomery makes a motion, may I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Franceschi seconds. We need a roll call, Mr. Brewer.
District 1, Amber Franceschi.
Yes.
District 2, Amy Hart.
Yes.
District 3, Bill Montgomery.
Yes.
District 4, Cliff Pruitt.
Yes.
District 5, Randy Phillips.
Yes. Next item, change order 1 for the new elementary project.
We have one change order. I don't know if you want to chime in if I get this. I'm going to try my best. This change order was they designed the electrical panel, then the electricians maybe looked at it, and because of what they needed to add, the electrical panel needed to be a little bit larger. Is that close? Go ahead. I should have just asked him to begin with.
That's close.
That's the way I put it.
My observation of it is your design team, the electrical engineers design the electrical gear, which is the big gear that brings in, the power comes into, that distributes throughout all the multiple panels throughout the school. They designed it to a certain level, and there's a submittal process that the entire project goes through. Just about every item in the project has a submittal. That information is pulled in from the manufacturers, it's product data, it's shop drawings, it's multiple things. It's brought in from the manufacturers, it's submitted to the design team, the architects and engineers, and then they start reviewing that. So after the design was made and the submittal was submitted by the contractor from the manufacturer, the electrical engineer firm, not common names to throw under the bus, but just so you know who the players are. CMTA, your electrical, mechanical, and plumbing engineer, reviewed this, and they determined in their review that there were going to need to be some changes made to be able to support your entire building like it needed to be. So when they sent the submittal back, they noted all these additional changes beyond what was shown in the contract documents. So that's where the cost increase is from. It's a minor modification to the design of the mechanical switchgear, or the electrical switchgear. Clear as mud?
Clear
Is
as
that like
mud,
a big breaker box?
Yes, a breaker box on steroids, really. is what it is.
You use breaker box, and
It's-
there
it's
wasn't enough breakers in the box?
Well,
So they had to add more breakers in the box.
close enough.
Just,
They had to muscle it up.
Had to muscle, there you go. It had to be muscled up.
I needed more juice.
Been there, done that.
Good.
I kind of had some questions about that when I looked at that too, but I'm glad you were here to kind of explain a little bit. I've been through some things like that, and I thought, I was on the wrong end of some of them a few times.
This is just, it's just, I don't say it's common, but it's not an oddity. Sometimes those things happen when you get engineers and manufacturers, and then when it all really kind of comes together, there's some minor modifications that need to be made.
My main thought of the whole thing is make it big enough and safe enough.
There you go. Yep. And I think that's exactly what you're designing to do. All right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. If any other questions or discussion about this? If not, can I please have a motion for the approval of the change order 1?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Pruitt makes a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Montgomery, second. Roll call, sir.
District 1, Amber Franceschi.
Yes.
District 2, Amy Hart.
Yes.
District 3, Bill Montgomery.
Yes.
District 4, Cliff Pruitt.
Yes.
District 5, Randy Phillips.
Yes. Last item for roll call vote, construction project closeout. Amber?
We started this last month, so it's a process in order to close out some of these date all the way back to 2013. We're trying to get closed out in order to free up the funds to use on the paving and sealing projects we're currently doing. And then we have a couple of old projects that were overspent, so trying to do that as well. So on here, we have 3 different approvals that are inclusive in the actual motion that's up there. But basically, there is $160,275.01 remaining on a project from 2013. So if you approve the revised VG1, you've already done, we kind of did a little bit of it out of order because of some communication issues between some people at KDE, but that's okay. We've got it fixed now. So now you're doing a revised VG1 after we already did the VG5. That's fine. The 22-281 was actually, if you remember when we started the baseball, softball project and the soccer project separate, and then we ended up morphing them into the athletics project overall. This one is actually, there's no project to it. We created the VG1, so we have to close it all the way out. And then the last project is the athletics project, and that is the remaining funds that we have there, $382,000. And so that will free up those funds in order to use them on those old projects and the sealing and paving project. And then there will still be remaining funds after all of those projects for us to potentially do some other things.
Questions?
So the ceiling and painting project?
Sealing and paving, sorry.
They said ceiling and painting.
Sealing and painting, yeah. Sorry, Kentucky accent and I talk fast, sorry. But no, the parking lot projects that you all have already approved.
If no questions, can I please have a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion.
Mrs. Franceschi makes a motion. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Montgomery, second. Roll call, sir.
District 1, Amber Franceschi.
Yes.
District 2, Amy Hart.
Yes.
District 3, Bill Montgomery.
Yes.
District 4, Cliff Pruitt.
Yes.
District 5, Randy Phillips.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I please have a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810.1F?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Pruitt makes a motion, may I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Montgomery, second, all in favor?
No.
You want us to tell her to log off and we'll call her?
Yeah,
Carrie,
if you wanna log off, they'll call you.
What I assumed it was.
Can I please have a motion to come out of executive session?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Pruitt makes a motion, can I have a second? Mr. Montgomery, second, all in favor? Okay, we have no action related to the executive session, so if nothing else, can I please have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion.
Mrs. Franceschi makes a motion, can I have a second? Mr. Montgomery, second, all in favor? Meeting adjourned, thank you.